Rick Hawkins was the successful pastor of a thriving megachurch in America until an adulterous affair caused him to lose everything. He recently wrote a book titled The Wall, where he shares what happened and how others can avoid the pitfalls of ministry. He joins us now via Skype. Pastor Hawkins, thank you so much for joining us.
Quite a privilege. Thank you for the opportunity. It's good to be with you.
Now, you wrote this book. Please tell us exactly what happened when you talk about hitting a wall.
7 years ago, I went through a very high-profile divorce as far as media is concerned. And it was after that I decided to write this book. This book has been written for a very long time, but it's been edited 5 times. And we finally released it this year. And it's very interesting because I was at the peak of my ministry. Our church was thriving in San Antonio. We were having 4 services on Sunday, and you've heard all of those wonderful things. But at the peak of my ministry, I woke up one morning, went to the mirror to get ready to go to church, and I looked in the mirror and heard this voice say, "What does a man do when he arrives at a place he only imagined himself to be?" And that was the beginning of a spiral. And disillusionment set in at a level that caused dizziness and disorientation as far as my mind was concerned. And my wife and I began to be polarized in our relationship. And we lost that sense of community, that sense of chemistry. And that was pretty much the beginning of what I call hitting the wall. The wall is what I call the mother of all crisis. The marathon runner will tell you it's the 20th mile when it feels like an elephant is dropped on your back. So that's kind of what the wall is, and that's kind of how I arrived there.
Now, that's interesting because, of course, for most people, when they're looking at your story, the focus will be on the stuff that happened after, the adultery, etc. But you're saying what's more important is the catalyst to these behaviors.
Exactly, and you hit the nail on the head. You know, I've always said a transgression does not stop the progression of purpose in the earth. And we must understand that, you know, religion and religious ideologies will want us to focus in on the details of the dilemma or the drama. And we've got to get past that in Christendom. We have to arrive at a place that we say, you know what, things happen, but purpose must proceed. Purpose must progress. And I think many times we bypass the process of, you know, reaching the full efficacy of our purpose in the earth. And we don't want to include some of the gory events and experiences that culminate to the summation of our person in the earth.
Let me ask you though, Pastor Hawkins,
Yeah.
going from being this celebrity, I'm sure you don't want to use that word,
No.
sitting with politicians, great people, have a great church and everything, to a point where you're the subject of people's discussion and ridicule. How does that affect you? How did that affect you as a person, as a minister, as someone who felt you still had a calling?
Well, it's the difference of walking into a room and knowing you're being respected, and then walking into a restaurant several months later and sitting in the corner with a cap on and sunglasses, hoping no one recognizes you.
Wow.
And I call that toxic shame and graphic guilt. And that is a difficult transition for one to work through. But we must understand that if you're going to walk in your identity in this earth, you've got to deal with that.
How did you get through that though? How did you walk through that from sitting in the restaurant with dark glasses, not wanting? And I'm sure there were moments you thought, you know, I just want to disappear. To the point where you're sitting here and we're talking to each other, and there'll be millions watching this.
Yeah, well, it's the stripping of confidence. You know, it strips away that sense that you carry that, you know, you're in control. And when you arrive there, it's very difficult. And the best way to make it through that is have people around you that believe in you and believe in your purpose in the earth. And I'm thankful for the people that God sent in my life during that season that said, you're still anointed, you're still appointed, you're still called, and you still have purpose in the earth. And those people really, that they became the ballasters and balance of me making it through that, and brought great equilibrium to me. So you need people around you during that season that really believe in you.
What do you say to someone who's watching, who may be about to hit the wall, as you put it, and is about to go through some of the things you've been through? How can they get through all that safely without becoming a victim of their own mistakes?
Well, you have to, a person can sense when they're arriving at that place. You see the wall before you hit the wall. So it does give you a cushion to, or I should say a space to begin to prepare. And I encourage people that are there, and the wall, the wall is defined as many different things. It can be a death of someone close to you, as well as a divorce. It could be public, a public scandal, whatever it may be. But you have to go through that wall, however that wall season, however long it lasts. It could last a month, it could last a year. For me, it was about a year and a half. You really have to determine within yourself that, what, I am conspicuously created by God. God loves me. And just because I'm anointed, or just because I have this high profile position in the earth, does not extract me from propensities and bends in my human nature. And because I've given in to them, that does not disqualify me from my personal destiny.
So hitting the wall is not the end of one story, in essence, you're saying?
It is not. It is a chapter in the book. As a matter of fact, I always, I refer to that quite often. I say, when I hit the wall, I thought it was over, but it was just the end of a chapter. It was not the conclusion of the book. And so now it's included as one of the pages in my history. And so I'm really thankful that I made it through as well as I did. I'm whole. There's no fragmentation in my life. I've arrived at a place of complete maturity, and I understand people that go through things in their life that cause setbacks.
Thank you. Pastor Hawkins, the author of The Wall, Disaster or Destiny, Lessons from Life's Crossroads. Thank you so much for joining us in Turning Point.